I never thought I'd be the one sitting in the back of a police cruiser watching my own parents get handcuffed while my sister screamed that I was ruining her life. But here we are. Have you ever been pushed so far by your own blood that you had to choose between your future and their approval? I'm still shaking while I type this out because I need to know, was I really the monster here for protecting what I worked for? Or did they get exactly what they deserved? Most people tell me family is everything, but what do you do when family treats you like an ATM and your sister like a princess who can do no wrong? Tell me in the comments if you would have let them take your hard-earned property just to keep the peace, or if you would have done exactly what I did and burned the bridge to the ground. This whole mess started about 3 years ago when I graduated college. Unlike my sister, Chloe, who decided that a gap year was actually a gap decade, I hit the ground running. I worked 2 jobs, lived in a cramped studio apartment that smelled like old socks and disappointment, and saved every single penny I had. My parents, Susan and Mark, always had this "what's yours is ours" mentality, but it only ever seemed to apply to me. Chloe was always the golden child, the one who needed extra support, because she was finding herself. Finding herself apparently involved a lot of expensive brunch dates and charging new clothes to my parents' credit cards. I didn't mind at first because I was independent, and I took pride in that. I eventually landed a high-paying job in tech, and after years of driving a beat-up truck that shook like an earthquake whenever I hit 60 miles per hour, I finally decided to treat myself. I bought a brand new top-of-the-line sedan. It wasn't just a car to me, it was the physical manifestation of every late night, every skipped meal, and every sacrifice I'd made since I was 18. The day I brought it home, my parents didn't congratulate me. They didn't ask about the safety features or tell me they were proud. Instead, they walked around it, touching the leather seats with a weird look in their eyes. My mom's first words weren't, "I'm happy for you," but "Wow, Chloe would look so successful driving something like this to her interviews." That should have been my first red flag, but I brushed it off. I thought they were just making conversation. A week later, my parents called a family meeting. Usually, these meetings were just interventions for Chloe's latest life crisis. So I showed up expecting to hear about a failed yoga certification or a breakup. Instead, I walked into the living room to find them all sitting there with a set of spare keys on the coffee table. My dad cleared his throat and told me that since I was doing so well and already had my company car, which, for the record, is a basic utility van I can only use for work, they had decided that Chloe would be taking over the sedan. They said it was unfair for me to have 2 vehicles while Chloe was struggling to get to her part-time boutique job. I laughed because I thought it was a joke. Then I saw Chloe's face. She was already scrolling through phone mounts on Amazon. I told them absolutely not. I told them I paid for it, the title was in my name, and there was no world where I was handing over a $60,000 car to someone who had totaled 3 cars in 4 years. The fallout was immediate. My mother started crying, calling me selfish, and saying I was holding my success over my sister's head. My dad told me I was dead to him if I didn't help the family. For 2 weeks, I was bombarded with texts and calls from aunts and uncles I hadn't spoken to in years, all telling me to just give her the car. They made my life a living hell. But here's the thing they didn't know. I saw the writing on the wall. I knew my parents had a spare key because I'd left one in their kitchen drawer for emergencies when I first bought it. I also knew they were the type of people to just take what they wanted if I didn't comply. So, I took a secret step. I have a very close friend, Leo, who is a car enthusiast and a collector. I went to Leo and we drew up a very real, very legal private sale and lease back agreement. On paper, and in the eyes of the DMV, I sold the car to Leo for $1, and he legally became the owner. He then signed a notarized document giving me exclusive use of the vehicle, but strictly forbidding any third-party drivers. If anyone other than me drove that car, it was legally considered unauthorized use and theft under our contract. I moved the title out of my name entirely and into his shell company's name. I felt a bit paranoid doing it, but I knew my family. So, that leads me to last Tuesday. I was over at their house for dinner, a peace offering. They invited me too. I should have known better. While I was in the bathroom, I heard the front door close and the distinct sound of my sedan's engine roaring to life. I ran to the window just in time to see Chloe peeling out of the driveway, waving my spare key out the window like a trophy. My parents were standing in the kitchen, beaming with pride. My dad looked me dead in the eye and said, "We gave her the keys, son. It's for the best. You can't be so greedy. We'll pay you back eventually." He actually had the nerve to hand me a plate of lasagna like that settled the debt. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just sat back down, took a sip of my water, and looked at them. I asked them one more time to call her and tell her to bring it back immediately. They laughed. My mom told me to stop being a drama queen, and that I should be happy my sister was finally stepping up. This is where things get intense. I had to make a choice right then and there. I could either let them walk all over me for the rest of my life, or I could use the legal trap I'd set. Before I tell you exactly how the police caught up to her, and the look on my father's face when he realized what I'd done, I want you to stop. Seriously, think about this. I had the legal power to have my own sister arrested for grand theft auto. My parents were the ones who handed her the keys, thinking they were redistributing the wealth. If you were me, sitting at that dinner table, would you have called the cops? Or would you have just walked away and let them have the car to keep your family intact? Tell me in the comments right now what you would have done, because what happened next changed our family forever. I pulled out my phone and I didn't call Chloe. I called Leo. I told him, the vehicle has been taken without authorization. Proceed with the recovery protocol. Leo, being the absolute legend he is, immediately called the police and reported the car stolen from the GPS location provided by the vehicle's built-in tracker. Since the car was technically owned by his company and I was the only authorized driver, the police treated it as a high-priority theft. Within 20 minutes, while I was still sitting at the table finishing my lasagna in eerie silence, my phone buzzed. It was a notification that the car had been stopped. About 10 minutes after that, my mom's phone started screaming. It was Chloe. She was hysterical, sobbing that she had been pulled over by 3 police cruisers, forced out of the car at gunpoint, and was currently being handcuffed. My parents turned white. My dad lunged at me, demanding to know what I did. I calmly explained that I didn't own the car anymore. I told them that because they pressured me so much, I had sold the vehicle to a third party and was merely leasing it. "You didn't steal from me," I told them. "You stole from a corporation, and they don't care about family values." My parents rushed to the scene, and I followed in a ride chair, recording the whole thing. When we got there, the scene was chaos. Chloe was in the back of a patrol car, her makeup smeared, screaming that her brother gave her permission. The officers looked at me, and I told them the truth. I never gave her the keys. My parents took them from my bag and gave them to her without my knowledge. My parents started screaming that I was lying, that it was a family matter, but the police didn't care about the family drama. They cared about the registered owner. Leo showed up shortly after with the bill of sale and the lease agreement showing that Chloe was explicitly barred from the vehicle. When the police realized my parents had admitted to taking the keys and giving them to an unauthorized driver, they were also detained for questioning regarding the theft and conspiracy. The aftermath has been a total nuclear winter. Chloe spent a night in jail and is now facing felony charges for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. My parents had to bail her out and are now looking at massive legal fees. They've been evicted from their social circle because the story leaked, and they're blaming me for destroying the family's reputation. They've sent me dozens of messages saying I'm a cold-blooded traitor and that they never want to see me again. My response: I blocked them. I got my car back, which luckily wasn't damaged, and I moved to a different city. I realized that family doesn't mean people who are allowed to rob you. I chose my hard work over their entitlement, and for the first time in my life, I don't feel guilty. I feel free. I lost my parents and my sister, but I realized I never really had them to begin with. I just had people who saw me as a resource. At the end of the day, respect is a two-way street, and blood doesn't give anyone a license to steal your peace or your property. I learned that setting boundaries isn't mean. It's necessary for survival. If I hadn't taken those legal precautions, I'd be out $60,000, and they'd be looking for the next thing to take from me. I hope this serves as a reminder to anyone else out there being guilt-tripped by their family. You are allowed to say no, and you are allowed to protect yourself. If they truly loved you, they wouldn't put you in a position where you had to choose. Like this video if you think I did the right thing by standing my ground, and subscribe to the channel for more stories about people finally getting the justice they deserve. Do you think I should have dropped the charges, or did Chloe and my parents need this wake-up call? Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll be reading through them to see if anyone else has dealt with golden child siblings like mine. I'll see you all in the next story.